Thea. My friend Juniper touches my elbow, her voice dropping to a whisper. You okay? You look like you've seen a ghost. If only. Ghosts can't rip your heart out twice. Caspian Vale, 6'4" of impossible beauty and lethal grace, dressed in a charcoal suit that probably costs more than my entire year's salary at the diner. His black hair is longer than I remember, touching his collar, and those eyes, God, those eyes, are the color of old blood in low light, scanning the crowd of elegantly dressed vampires and their human companions with the bored detachment of someone who owns everything he surveys. Because he does. Before we continue, please prove my mom wrong. She says I can't hit 1,000 subscribers. Okay, let's continue. I'm fine, I lie, pulling my cardigan tighter across my body, across the small but unmistakable swell of my belly that no amount of loose clothing can truly hide anymore. 4 months. I've been running for 4 months, ever since the night I discovered what was growing inside me and understood with crystal clarity that Caspian's family would rather see me dead than allow a human to carry the heir to their throne. Juniper doesn't look convinced, but before she can press me, the crowd shifts and suddenly there's no barrier between us. Caspian's gaze sweeps past me once, twice, then locks. The recognition hits his face like a physical blow. His entire body goes rigid, and even from 30 feet away I can see his hands clench at his sides, can sense the predatory stillness that overtakes him. That particular quality that reminds you, no matter how beautiful the package, that you're standing in the presence of something that has killed more people than you've met in your entire life. We need to leave, I say to Juniper, grabbing her hand. Right now. What? But we just got here, and Lady Morgrave invited us specifically. I don't care. My voice comes out sharper than intended, panic rising like bile in my throat. Please, June. Trust me. But it's too late. He's moving through the crowd like a shark through shallow water, and people part for him instinctively, even the ones who don't know who he is. Something primal in the human hindbrain recognizes apex predator when it sees one. Dorothea. My full name sounds different in his mouth, wrapped in that accent I could never quite place, somewhere between old British aristocracy and something far older. We need to talk. No, I say, forcing steel into my voice even as my knees threaten to buckle. We really don't. His jaw tightens, a muscle jumping there. He's angry. I can see it in the rigid set of his shoulders, the way his eyes have gone flat and cold. But underneath that, something else flickers. Hurt? No. Caspian Vale doesn't do hurt. That's what I had to learn the hard way. You disappeared. Each word is precisely enunciated, meant for my ears alone, even though Juniper stands right beside me, her confusion palpable. 4 months without a word. Do you have any idea? He stops himself, dragging a hand through his hair in a gesture so familiar, it makes my chest ache. We need to talk, privately. I don't think that's a good idea, Juniper interjects, bless her, stepping slightly in front of me. She's human too. Blonde and fierce and completely unaware that the man she's trying to protect me from could snap her neck without breaking a sweat. Thea doesn't want to talk to you, so maybe you should... It's okay. I put a hand on her shoulder, gently moving her aside. Because if I refuse, if I make a scene, Caspian will only get more insistent. And the last thing I need is to draw attention from the other vampires here, especially any who might recognize him. Especially any who might be loyal to his family. Just give us a minute. Juniper's eyes narrow with suspicion, but she nods slowly. I'll be right over there. You yell if you need me. What I need is for the earth to open up and swallow me whole, but that's probably not in the cards tonight. Caspian leads me through a side door into what appears to be a library, all dark wood and leather-bound books that probably haven't been opened in centuries. The moment the door clicks shut, the careful control drops from his face. What the hell were you thinking? His voice is low, dangerous. Disappearing like that? I had people searching 3 states for you, Thea. 3 states. I thought... He stops himself again, turning away from me. his hands braced on the back of an antique chair like he needs something to hold on to. "I thought you were dead." Would that have been easier? The words slip out before I can stop them, bitter and sharp. He whirls on me, and for a second I see the flash of red in his eyes that signals a vampire losing control. Don't you dare act like I didn't care, like what we had meant nothing." "What we had!" I laugh, and it sounds broken even to my own ears. "We had 6 months of you showing up at the diner where I worked, charming me, making me believe that maybe, just maybe, someone like you could actually want someone like me. And then I overheard your sister telling you that it was time to end your little human distraction and choose a proper mate from one of the noble families." His face goes carefully blank. "You were never a distraction." "Really? Because you didn't exactly argue with her, Caspian. You just said, 'I know,' and promised you'd handle it." I wrap my arms around myself, suddenly cold despite the warmth of the room. "So I handled it for you. I left. You should have talked to me." He takes a step closer, and I force myself not to retreat. "You should have given me a chance to explain to what? Tell me that duty comes first? That your family's expectations matter more than whatever we had?" I shake my head. I already knew that. I've always known that. I was just stupid enough to think it might be different. "It was different." His voice drops to barely above a whisper, and now he's close enough that I can smell him. Cedar and night-blooming jasmine, and something uniquely him that makes my traitorous body respond even now. "You were different. Are different." Past tense, Caspian. Were. I need to end this. Need to get out of here before he notices. Before he starts asking questions I can't answer. "Look, I'm sorry if my disappearing worried you, but I'm fine. I've moved on. You should, too." His eyes narrow, studying my face with that unnerving intensity that always made me feel like he could see straight through to my soul. "You're lying. Something's wrong." "I can sense it." "Nothing's wrong." I move toward the door, heart hammering. "I just needed a clean break, okay? And now I've got it. So let's just leave it at that." His hand shoots out, catching my wrist. Not hard. Caspian has always been careful with his strength around me, but firm enough to stop my retreat. "Thea, look at me." I don't want to. God, I don't want to. Because Caspian has always been able to read me too easily, has always seen things I tried to hide. But I force myself to meet his eyes, to keep my expression neutral. "I'm sorry I hurt you," he says, and there's something raw in his voice that makes my throat tighten. "But you didn't let me finish that conversation with Seraphine. Yes, she said it was time to choose a proper mate, and yes, I said I would handle it. What you didn't hear was me telling her that I already had chosen, and that if the family couldn't accept my decision, then they could find themselves another king." The words hit like a physical blow. "What?" "I was going to propose, Thea. That night. I had a ring in my pocket and a speech prepared, and..." He laughs, but there's no humor in it. "And then you were gone. Vanished like you'd never existed. Your apartment cleared out, your phone disconnected, your co-workers at the diner claiming they had no idea where you'd gone. No, this can't be happening. This isn't how it was supposed to go. You're lying," I whisper, but even as I say it, I can see the truth in his face. Vampires can lie. They're excellent at it, actually, but Caspian's never been able to lie to me. Not about the things that matter. I'm not. He reaches into his jacket pocket and pulls out a small velvet box, worn at the edges like it's been carried for a while. "I've had this with me every day since you left. Just in case. Just hoping that maybe..." "Stop!" I wrench my wrist from his grip, stumbling backward. This is worse. This is so much worse than I thought. Because if he was going to choose me, if he was actually going to defy his family for me, then leaving wasn't protecting either of us. It was just cowardice. We can't... Why not?" He follows me, relentless. "You're here. I'm here. We can fix this, Thea. Whatever I did wrong, whatever made you think you had to run, we can..." I'm pregnant. The words fall into the space between us like stones into still water, sending ripples through the silence. Caspian freezes, just completely stops moving, stops breathing, stops being anything but a statue carved from marble and old pain. What did you say? I'm pregnant. My hand moves unconsciously to my belly, protective. 4 months. It's yours. And before you ask, yes, I'm sure. There hasn't been anyone else since before we met. He's staring at my stomach now, at the small curve that's visible even through my loose cardigan, and I can't read his expression. Can't tell if it's horror or shock or, "You've been alone this whole time?" His voice sounds strangled. Carrying my child, thinking my family wants you dead, and you've been alone? That's what he focuses on? Not the impossibility of it. Human vampire pregnancies are rare, dangerous, usually end in tragedy for the mother. Not the political nightmare of a half-human heir, just the fact that I've been alone. I had Juniper, I say weakly, and I've been careful. Staying off the grid, using fake names, working cash jobs. You've been working? Now there's anger in his voice, hot and immediate. In your condition? Thea, do you have any idea how dangerous? He stops himself, closing his eyes and taking a deep breath that he doesn't actually need. When he opens them again, the anger has been banked, replaced by something that looks almost like fear. Are you okay? Is the baby okay? Have you been seeing a doctor? There's a clinic in the town where I'm staying. They think I'm a young widow. The baby's fine, strong heartbeat, growing right on schedule. I swallow hard. Caspian, you need to understand. Your family will never accept this. A human carrying the heir to the Eastern Territories. They'll see me as a threat, a weakness. They'll accept it because I will make them accept it. His voice has gone cold, regal, every inch the king he was born to be. And if they don't, then they can find themselves a new royal line. You can't mean that. Can't I? He closes the distance between us in 2 strides, and before I can protest, he's cupping my face in his hands, forcing me to look at him. Thea, I have lived for 347 years. In all that time, I have never met anyone who made me feel the way you do. Never wanted to wake up and see someone's face first thing. Never cared if someone was having a good day or worried when they were sad. You made me remember what it was like to be human, to feel things deeply instead of just going through the motions of existing. His thumb brushes across my cheekbone, gentle despite the intensity in his eyes. And now you're telling me that you're carrying our child? A piece of both of us? There is nothing that would make me turn my back on that. On you. I want to believe him. God, I want to believe him so badly it physically hurts. Your sister can go to hell. He says it flatly, matter of fact. Along with anyone else who has a problem with this. Caspian, come home with me. It's not quite a command, but close. Tonight. Let me take care of you the way I should have been doing for the past 4 months. Let me protect you. I can't just... A knock on the door interrupts whatever excuse I was going to make. We both freeze, and I see Caspian's nostrils flare as he scents whoever's on the other side. Damn it, he mutters. The door opens without waiting for permission, and a woman glides in, tall, elegant, with the same dark hair and blood-red eyes as Caspian. His sister, Seraphine. There you are, she says, her voice like honey poured over razor blades. Mother's been asking for you, Cass. Apparently, Lord Mordecai has brought his daughter to introduce... She stops, her gaze landing on me. Recognition flashes across her face, followed by something that might be satisfaction. Well, well, the little human returns. I feel Caspian tense beside me, feel the protective energy rolling off him in waves. Leave, Seraphine, he says quietly. Oh, I don't think so. She moves further into the room, circling us like a predator. Her eyes drop to my belly, and her smile sharpens. Is that... Oh, Caspian, what have you done? I said leave. You've gotten her pregnant. Seraphine laughs. But it's not a pleasant sound. A human, carrying the heir to our throne. Do you have any idea what Mother will do when she finds out? What the council will say? I don't particularly care what the council says. Caspian moves, positioning himself between his sister and me. And Mother will accept it because she has no choice. No choice? Seraphine's eyes flash. Caspian, she's human. She can't survive a vampire birth. You know this. The child will tear her apart from the inside out. And then what? You'll be left with a motherless hybrid that half the nobility will want dead just for existing? The words are like knives, each one finding its mark. Because she's right. I've done the research, read everything I could find about human vampire pregnancies. The survival rate for human mothers is less than 30%. And the children who do survive are often caught between two worlds, belonging to neither. That's enough. Caspian's voice has dropped to a register I've never heard before, something ancient and absolutely terrifying. The temperature in the room seems to plummet, and I can see frost forming on the windows. You will not speak about Thea or our child that way. Not now, not ever. Am I understood? For the first time, Seraphine looks uncertain. She takes a step back, though I can tell it costs her pride to do so. I'm trying to protect you, to protect our family. My family is standing right here. He doesn't move, doesn't raise his voice, but there's no mistaking the finality in his tone. Everything else is negotiable. The silence stretches, taut as a bowstring. Then Seraphine's eyes narrow, and she looks at me with something that might almost be respect buried under all the disdain. Fine, she says, but you're a fool if you think it will be that easy. The noble families will revolt. They'll see this as weakness, as the king putting his desires above the good of the territory. She moves toward the door, pausing on the threshold. And for what it's worth, little human, I hope you survive. Because if you don't, you'll destroy him. Completely and utterly. And then who will hold the Eastern Territories together? She leaves, the door clicking shut behind her with a finality that feels like a death knell. I'm shaking. I don't realize it until Caspian turns back to me, his hands immediately going to my arms to steady me. Hey, he says softly, and just like that, the terrifying king is gone. Replaced by the man who used to bring me coffee during my late shifts at the diner, who learned to like bad reality TV because I loved it, who once spent 2 hours helping me pick out paint colors for my apartment, even though he couldn't care less about the difference between eggshell and cream. Don't listen to her. She's trying to scare you. She doesn't have to try very hard. My voice sounds small even to my own ears. Caspian, what if she's right? What if I can't survive this? What if... Then we'll find a way. He pulls me closer, careful of my belly, and I let myself lean into him for just a moment. Let myself pretend that this could actually work. I know people, doctors, witches, healers who specialize in difficult pregnancies. Will get you the best care possible. Whatever it takes. Your family will learn to live with their disappointment. He pulls back just enough to look at me, his hand coming up to rest gently on my stomach. This is my heir, Thea. My child. No one is going to hurt either of you. I promise. I want to believe him. I want it so badly I can taste it. I'm scared, I whisper. I know. He presses a kiss to my forehead, tender and achingly familiar. I'm scared too, but we'll figure it out, together, the way we should have from the beginning. The door bursts open again, but this time it's Juniper, her face flushed with panic. Thea, we need to go. Now. There's... She stops, taking in the scene, the way Caspian's holding me. What's happening? Change of plans, Caspian says before I can answer. Thea's coming with me. Like hell she is. Juniper's hand goes to her purse, where I know she keeps a stake, because of course she does, paranoid as she is about vampires. I don't know who you think you are, but... June, it's okay. I extract myself from Caspian's embrace, moving toward my friend. This is Caspian, the baby's father. Juniper's eyes go wide. This is him? The vampire, you... She looks between us and I can see her putting the pieces together. Oh my God. Thea, is he the... King of the Eastern Territories, yes. Caspian's voice is dry. And before you stake me, I'm trying to convince Thea to come home with me so I can properly protect her and our child. Your family wants her dead, Juniper says bluntly. She told me everything. How they'd never accept a human carrying the heir. How they'd see her as a threat. My family will accept what I tell them to accept. There's steel in his voice now, that regal authority that makes it very clear he's used to being obeyed. And anyone who has a problem with it will answer to me. Juniper looks at me, 1,000 questions in her eyes. Thea? And here's the moment of truth. I can keep running, keep hiding, keep trying to do this alone while the pregnancy gets more dangerous with each passing day. Or I can trust that the man I fell in love with, the man who apparently carried an engagement ring around for 4 months hoping to find me, will actually protect us. I need to think about it, I say finally. Just give me... A crash from somewhere in the main hall cuts me off, followed by screams. Not scared human screams, the sound of predators finding prey. Caspian's entire body goes on alert, his eyes flashing red. Stay here, he orders, already moving toward the door. Both of you, lock this behind me and don't open it for anyone but... The door splinters inward, torn off its hinges by a vampire I don't recognize. Male, young-looking, with wild eyes and fresh blood on his mouth. Found her, he snarls, and then there are more of them. 3, 4, 5 vampires pouring into the room. The king's human whore. Lord Mordecai sends his regards. Everything happens too fast. Caspian moves like lightning, intercepting the first vampire before he can get within 10 feet of me. There's the sound of bones breaking, a scream cut short. Juniper yanks me behind her, stake in hand, but we both know it's useless. We're humans facing vampires, trained vampire warriors, by the look of them. You really thought you could just claim a human as your mate? The leader, the one who spoke first, circles around Caspian, even as his companions keep him busy. That the noble families would just accept your half-breed bastard as heir? Lord Mordecai has a better solution. Kill the human, eliminate the problem, and offer his daughter as a proper mate. The council has already agreed. The council, Caspian growls, can burn. He's magnificent in motion, deadly and precise, but there are too many of them. Even as he tears through one attacker, 2 more close in, and the leader is still advancing on me and Juniper, his smile promising pain. Such a pretty thing, he croons. Shame you had to go and get knocked up by the wrong vampire. This would be so much more fun if... He doesn't finish the sentence, because Juniper, brave, stupid, wonderful Juniper, lunges forward with her stake raised. He catches her wrist almost casually, twisting until I hear the bone snap. Juniper's scream pierces through me, and I'm moving before I can think, grabbing a heavy bookend from the nearest shelf and swinging it at the vampire's head. It connects with a satisfying crunch, and he staggers back, more surprised than hurt. But it buys us a second, and I use it to pull Juniper behind me, to put my body between her and the threat, even though I know it's useless, even though I know I can't protect either of us. The vampire's hand closes around my throat. Stupid human, he hisses, lifting me off my feet. My hands scrabble uselessly at his wrist as black spots dance across my vision. You should have stayed hidden. Should have gotten rid of that thing in your belly before Lord Mordecai found out about it. Now you'll both. He explodes. I don't even see Caspian move. 1 second the vampire has me by the throat. The next he's just gone. Scattered in pieces across the library floor, and Caspian is there, catching me as I fall. His eyes completely red now, his face transformed into something beautiful and terrible. Mine, he snarls at the remaining attackers, and there's so much power in that single word that I feel it vibrate through my bones. She is mine, and anyone who touches her answers to me. The remaining vampires hesitate, looking at each other. Whatever they see in Caspian's face makes them back toward the door. Lord Mordecai won't stop, one of them says, trying for bravado even as he retreats. He has the council's backing. Half the noble families agree that a human has no place bearing the heir. Kill us, and 10 more will come. 100. You can't protect her forever. Watch me. Caspian doesn't even touch the vampire. He just looks at him, and the man's eyes go wide with terror before he turns and flees, his companions scrambling after him. And then it's quiet again, except for Juniper's soft whimpering and the sound of my own ragged breathing. Thea! Caspian's hands are shaking as he runs them over me, checking for injuries. Did he hurt you? The baby. I'm okay. My throat feels bruised, and I'm pretty sure I'll have a spectacular set of fingerprint bruises by morning, but nothing feels broken. Nothing feels wrong. June, her wrist. I'll heal. Juniper's face is pale with pain, her right wrist held carefully against her chest. But she manages a weak smile. That was incredibly stupid, by the way. You're pregnant. You're supposed to stay behind me. You're the one who tried to stake a vampire warrior, I point out, and then somehow we're both laughing, high and slightly hysterical, because we're alive, and that seems like a minor miracle. Caspian doesn't laugh. He's holding me like I might disappear, his face buried in my hair, and I can feel him shaking. I could have lost you, he says, so quietly I almost don't hear it. Both of you. If I'd been a second slower? But you weren't. I pull back enough to look at him, to cup his face in my hands. Caspian, look at me. We're okay. This time. His eyes meet mine, and I see the fear there, raw and real. But he was right. Mordecai won't stop. If he has council backing, if the noble families are united against this, then there will be more attempts, more assassins, and I can't be everywhere at once. I can't. He stops, his jaw clenching. I can't lose you. The door to the library opens again, more carefully this time. Seraphine stands on the threshold, taking in the destruction, the bodies, the 3 of us huddled together. For a long moment she says nothing. Then, well, that's going to make things complicated. Caspian's laugh is bitter. Complicated. Yes, that's one word for it. Mother's demanding to see you. She knows about the attack, about... Seraphine's gaze flicks to me, unreadable. About the pregnancy. Someone told her. I'd bet everything I own that it was Mordecai's people, right before they launched this little assassination attempt. Perfect. Caspian doesn't release his hold on me. What does she want? What do you think she wants? She wants you to renounce the human, terminate the pregnancy, and choose a proper mate from one of the noble families, preferably by the end of the week. Seraphine's voice is flat, emotionless. She's giving you a choice, Cass. Your throne, or your human, your family, or your child. The silence that follows feels heavy enough to crush me. There is no choice, Caspian says finally. Tell Mother I'll see her tomorrow evening, and tell her to prepare herself for disappointment. Seraphine nods slowly, something like approval flickering across her face. You know this will mean war, right? Civil war, possibly. The noble families won't accept this lying down. Then they can fight. Caspian's voice is cold, final, and they can lose. After Seraphine leaves, after Caspian arranges for a doctor to come set Juniper's wrist, after the bodies are cleaned up, and statements given to whatever passes for vampire law enforcement, after all of that, I find myself alone with Caspian again. We're in his car, heading to what he calls a safe house on the outskirts of the territory. Juniper is in the back seat, half asleep on pain medication, and the world outside the tinted windows is dark and still. You didn't have to do that, I say quietly. Choose me over your family, your throne. Yes, I did. He doesn't look at me, his eyes fixed on the road, but his hand finds mine, lacing our fingers together. Thea, I've been king for 150 years. I've done my duty, made sacrifices, put the good of the territory above my own desires 1,000 times over. And you know what I learned? What? That duty is a poor substitute for happiness, for love, for waking up every morning and having something to actually live for, instead of just exist for. He glances over at me now, and there's something vulnerable in his face that I've never seen before. You gave me that. You and this child. You're my chance to have something real, something that matters beyond politics and power and endless vampire drama. I'm not giving that up. Not for anyone. Even if it costs you everything? Even then. He brings my hand to his lips, pressing a kiss to my knuckles. Because what's the point of being king if I can't protect the people I love? I don't know what to say to that. Don't know how to process the enormity of what he's offering, what he's risking. Your mother is going to hate me, I say finally. Probably. He sounds almost cheerful about it. But she'll come around eventually. And if she doesn't, well, she's not the one carrying my child. So her opinion is somewhat less important than yours. Despite everything, I find myself smiling. You make it sound so simple. It is simple. Everything else is just noise. He squeezes my hand. We'll figure out the politics, deal with the council, handle the noble families. But first, we're going to make sure you and the baby are safe and healthy. Everything else can wait. The safe house turns out to be a sprawling estate in the woods, all stone and glass and security measures that would make a bank jealous. Caspian carries a still groggy Juniper inside, getting her settled in a guest room before returning to where I stand in the foyer, suddenly uncertain. Hey, he approaches carefully. Like I'm something that might spook. What are you thinking? That this is insane. I wrap my arms around myself. That we're basically declaring war on your entire family, your entire political structure, just so I can have this baby. That maybe it would be easier if I just don't. His voice is sharp. Don't even think it, Thea. This child, our child, is not a problem to be solved or eliminated. They're a person, a life, and I will burn down everything I've built before I let anyone make you feel like they're anything less than precious. But what if Seraphine was right? The words tumble out, all my fears laid bare. What if I can't survive the birth? What if you're left with a child who's hated by half your kingdom and no mate to help you raise them? What if... He kisses me. It's not gentle or tentative. It's desperate, claiming a reminder of everything we had and everything we could still have. His hands cup my face, thumbs brushing away tears I didn't realize I was crying, and when he finally pulls back, we're both breathing hard. Listen to me, he says, his forehead pressed to mine. I have contacts, the best supernatural healers in the world. We are going to make sure you survive this. You and the baby both. And yes, it's going to be hard. And yes, there will be people who want us dead. But Thea... His voice cracks slightly. I've lived for 3 centuries. I've fought in wars, built kingdoms, watched everyone I cared about die, or leave, or forget me. And then I walked into a greasy diner at 3 a.m. because I was bored and lonely, and you smiled at me like I was just a person. Not a king, not a vampire, just a person worth smiling at. Do you have any idea how rare that is? How precious? I shake my head, unable to speak around the lump in my throat. You're my second chance, Thea. At happiness, at having a family, at being something more than just a throne and a crown. I'm not letting that go. I'm not letting you go. Not ever again. Even if it costs you your throne? Especially if it costs me my throne. He kisses me again, softer this time. Because what good is a throne if I'm sitting on it alone? I let myself lean into him, let myself believe, just for a moment, that this could actually work. Okay, I whisper. Okay? Okay, I'll stay. We'll figure this out. I pull back to look at him. But if your mother tries to kill me, I'm blaming you. He laughs, and it sounds relieved, almost giddy. Deal. The next morning, I wake to find Caspian gone and a note on the pillow beside me. Meeting with Mother and the council. Stay inside, stay safe, back by evening. I love you. See, the "I love you" makes my heart clench. He's never said it before, not out loud, not in so many words. We were always dancing around it, implying it through actions, but never actually saying the words. I press the note to my chest for a moment, then force myself to get up. Juniper is already awake, her wrist in a proper cast now, eating breakfast in the massive kitchen with the kind of gusto that suggests the pain meds are working well. "Morning, Mama," she says with a grin. "Sleep okay?" "Better than I have in months." Which is true. Having Caspian close, knowing I'm not alone in this anymore, it made a difference. "How's the wrist?" "Hurts like hell, but I'll live." She gestures at me with her fork. "So, the Vampire King. That's who you've been running from?" Running from his family, technically. I pour myself some orange juice, freshly squeezed because apparently Vampire Kings don't do concentrate, and join her at the table. "Caspian, he didn't know about any of it. I just heard his sister talking and assumed the worst. And now he's starting a civil war for you." Juniper's voice is thoughtful. That's either incredibly romantic or incredibly stupid. Possibly both. Definitely both. I take a sip of juice. "June, you should leave. Go somewhere safe. This is only going to get more dangerous and—" "Not a chance." She reaches over to squeeze my hand, the one on her uninjured side. "You're my best friend, Thea. You were there for me when Michael left, when I lost the house, when I thought I was going to lose everything. You think I'm abandoning you now? When you're pregnant and being hunted by vampire assassins? Please. It's not safe. Life's not safe. Doesn't mean I'm running." She leans back in her chair. "Besides, someone needs to make sure Prince Charming doesn't get too high-handed. Can't have him thinking he can just sweep in and take over your whole life without permission." I laugh despite myself. "You know he's a king, not a prince, right?" "Whatever. Same difference. Point is, you've got backup, whether you want it or not." The rest of the day passes in strange domesticity. Juniper and I explore the safe house, which is less a house and more a small compound, complete with gardens and a library that rivals the one from last night. We find a room that would make a perfect nursery. All windows and soft light, and I spend an hour just standing in it, imagining. A crib here, a rocking chair there, maybe some shelves for books. I want to read to the baby, want them to grow up surrounded by stories, if I survive long enough to see them grow up. The thought intrudes despite my best efforts to stay positive. Seraphine wasn't wrong about the statistics. Human vampire pregnancies are dangerous, often fatal. The baby develops too fast, demands too much from the mother's body, and that's assuming the pregnancy makes it to term at all. I'm so lost in dark thoughts that I don't hear the footsteps behind me until a voice says, "Planning the nursery already?" I spin to find Seraphine standing in the doorway, looking elegant and dangerous in black slacks and a silk blouse. My hand goes instinctively to my belly, protective. "Easy," she says, raising her hands. "I'm not here to hurt you. If I wanted you dead, I wouldn't have bothered knocking." "Did you knock?" "No, but I could have." She moves into the room, her gaze sweeping across the space. "This was my room, actually, when we were young, before Caspian took the throne. I used to sit by that window and read for hours." I don't know what to say to that, so I say nothing. Seraphine studies me for a long moment, her red eyes unreadable. "You're not what I expected," she says finally. "Sorry to disappoint." I didn't say I was disappointed. She crosses to the window, looking out at the gardens below. "When Caspian first started seeing you, I thought it was just another distraction, a dalliance. He's had them before. Humans he found interesting for a few months before growing bored. I thought you'd be the same. Maybe I still am." "No," she turns back to me. "You're not. Because here's the thing about my brother. He's never defied our family before. Never put his foot down and said, 'This is what I want,' and damn the consequences. He's always been the dutiful one, the responsible one, making sacrifices for the good of the territory, putting duty above personal desire." Her lips quirk in something that might be a smile. "And then you came along and turned all of that upside down. I didn't mean to. Of course you didn't. That's what makes it worse. She sighs, running a hand through her dark hair. Do you know what happened at the council meeting this morning? My heart clenches. What? Caspian walked in, announced that you were carrying his heir, and told the council that they had two choices. Accept it, or find a new king. She laughs, but there's no humor in it. Mother nearly had an aneurysm. Lord Mordecai tried to call for a vote of no confidence, and Caspian just stood there, absolutely calm, and said that any vampire who had a problem with his choice was welcome to challenge him for the throne. By combat. Oh God, did anyone? 3 tried. Seraphine's smile turns sharp. He put them down in less than 5 minutes. Didn't even break a sweat. Reminded everyone very thoroughly why he's been king for 150 years. Because he's the strongest, fastest, most dangerous vampire in the territory, and anyone who forgets that does so at their own peril. I sink down onto the window seat, my legs suddenly unsteady. He could have been killed. Please, those idiots never stood a chance. Seraphine moves to sit beside me, and up close I can see the worry in her eyes, carefully hidden but present. But that's not the point. The point is that he was willing to risk it. Willing to fight his own people, split the territory, start a civil war, all for you and that baby you're carrying. You think I should leave? It's not a question. I think you should understand what you're asking of him. Seraphine's voice is softer now, almost gentle. Caspian has spent centuries building this territory, maintaining peace, keeping the vampire clans from tearing each other apart, and he's willing to throw all of that away because he loves you. Because he wants this child. I didn't ask him to. No, you didn't. But that's the choice he's making anyway. She looks at me steadily. So the question is, are you worth it? The question hangs in the air between us, heavy with implication. I don't know, I say honestly. I'm just me, a human, a waitress, nothing special. You're carrying my nephew or niece. Seraphine's hand goes to my belly, hovering there for a moment before touching down gently. That makes you very special indeed. And if you're going to be part of this family, if you're going to be my brother's mate, the mother of his child, then you need to be strong enough to survive what's coming. Because it's going to get worse before it gets better. I know. Do you? She pulls her hand back. Mordecai has half the council on his side. The noble families are calling for your execution. There are vampires out there right now who see you as nothing more than an obstacle to be removed. And even if we protect you through the pregnancy, even if you somehow survive the birth, you'll be human in a vampire court. Weak, vulnerable, a target for anyone who wants to hurt Caspian. So what do you suggest? I'm surprised by how steady my voice sounds. That I run again? Hide? Give up? I suggest you let me help you. Seraphine stands, smoothing down her blouse. There's a witch I know. Very old, very powerful. She specializes in supernatural pregnancies, helping humans survive vampire births, making sure the children are healthy. I've already contacted her. She's willing to come here, to monitor you through the pregnancy, and be there for the delivery. Why would you do that? I search her face for the catch, the hidden agenda. You made it pretty clear last night that you don't approve of this. I don't, she says it bluntly. I think you're a complication we don't need. I think Caspian is making a mistake that will cost him everything. But she pauses, and for the first time I see something vulnerable in her expression. He's my brother. And if this is what he wants, if you're what makes him happy, then I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure you survive. Because I'll be damned if I let some prejudiced noble families or council politics take away his chance at happiness. I don't know what to say. Don't know how to process this version of Seraphine. Still prickly and difficult, but clearly on our side. Thank you, I manage finally. She nods once, brisk and businesslike. The witch will be here tomorrow. Her name is Cordelia, and she's going to seem strange. Don't let that throw you. She's the best at what she does. She moves toward the door, then pauses. And Dorothea? When the baby comes, assuming you both survive, you're going to need to be strong. Not just physically, but politically. You'll be the king's mate, mother to the heir. That means you'll have enemies. People who will smile to your face and plot your death behind your back. Can you handle that? I guess I'll have to learn. Good answer. And then she's gone, leaving me alone with my thoughts and fears, and a tiny spark of something that might be hope. Caspian returns that evening looking tired, but satisfied. There's blood on his collar. Not his own, I don't think, and his knuckles are bruised. Should I ask? I meet him in the foyer, and he pulls me into his arms immediately, breathing in my scent like he's been drowning and I'm air. 3 challengers, all failed. His voice is muffled against my hair. The council is not happy, but they've agreed to accept the situation. For now. For now? They want proof that you can survive the pregnancy, that the child will be healthy. They're giving us until the birth, and then... He pulls back to look at me. And then we'll deal with whatever comes next. Your sister came by. I watch his face carefully. She's bringing in a witch to help. Cordelia? Something flickers in his expression. Surprise, maybe? Or relief. Seraphine did that? She said, I choose my words carefully. She said she wants you to be happy. Even if she thinks I'm a complication you don't need. Caspian laughs, and it sounds genuine this time. That's practically a declaration of love, coming from Seraphine. She must really like you. She threatened me. Like I said, she likes you. He kisses my forehead, my nose, my lips. How are you feeling? Is the baby? We're fine, both of us. I put his hand on my belly, and right on cue, there's a flutter of movement. The first time I've felt it strong enough for someone else to notice. Caspian goes very still, his eyes widening. Was that your heir saying hello? I'm smiling despite everything, despite the danger and fear and uncertainty, because this is real. This life inside me, this child we made together, it's real and strong and fighting to exist. Hello, little one, Caspian whispers, and there's so much wonder in his voice that my eyes start to burn with tears. I'm your father, and I promise that I'm going to keep you safe. You and your mother both. No matter what it takes. The baby kicks again, stronger this time, and Caspian laughs, a sound of pure, unfiltered joy that makes my heart clench. They're strong, he says, looking up at me with shining eyes. Just like their mother. I'm not strong. I'm terrified. You left everything you knew to protect this child. You've been alone and afraid for 4 months, working to support yourself, staying hidden from people who want you dead. He cups my face in his hands. Thea, you're the strongest person I know, human or vampire. I don't feel strong. I feel exhausted and scared and completely out of my depth. But I also feel loved, protected. Like maybe, just maybe, we can actually make this work. The next few weeks pass in a blur of preparation. Cordelia arrives, a tiny woman who looks about 70, but is apparently closer to 700, with silver hair and eyes that see too much. She examines me thoroughly, pokes and prods and asks invasive questions, and finally pronounces that both baby and I are doing remarkably well. All things considered. The child is strong, she tells Caspian and me over tea in the library. Half vampire, half human, but the vampire genes are dominant. They'll be powerful when they're older, probably strong enough to challenge for the throne themselves if they want it. What about Thea? Caspian's hand tightens on mine. Can she survive the birth? Cordelia is quiet for a long moment. Normally, I'd say the chances are poor, maybe 30%. But this child? They're not taking as much from the mother as I'd expect. It's like they're protecting her somehow, regulating their own growth to keep from draining her completely. She looks at me with those 2 knowing eyes. You're lucky, girl. Or blessed. Either way, I'd put your survival chances closer to 70, maybe 80% if we're careful. It's not perfect, Not a guarantee, but it's better than I hoped. What do we need to do? I ask. Rest, good nutrition. I'll give you a list of supplements. No stress, though I imagine that's going to be difficult given the circumstances. She glances at Caspian. And you'll need to be there for the birth. Your blood, given to her at the right moment, could make the difference between life and death. I'll be there, Caspian says immediately. Nothing could keep me away. Cordelia nods, seeming satisfied. Good. Then we'll start preparations. I'll be monitoring you weekly, more often as we get closer to the due date, and I'm going to teach you some techniques for managing pain and energy during labor. This won't be an easy birth, child, but it will be worth it. She's right about that, at least. As my belly swells and the baby grows, as I feel those kicks and flutters becoming stronger, more insistent, I know it will be worth it. Every moment of fear, every risk we're taking. This is our child. Mine and Caspian's. A bridge between two worlds. A symbol of what's possible when you refuse to let fear and prejudice win. The council tries one more assassination attempt. Masked vampires breaking into the safe house at midnight. But Caspian is ready this time. And so is Seraphine, who's taken to staying at the house to keep an eye on things. The attackers are dealt with swiftly and brutally, and their bodies are sent back to the council with a very clear message. Try again and face the consequences. After that, things quiet down. Not peaceful, there's still tension, still politics and maneuvering, but no more direct attacks. The noble families are watching, waiting to see if I'll survive, if the child will be born healthy. And slowly, grudgingly, some of them start to come around. Lady Morgrave, the vampire who hosted the party where this all started, sends a gift, an antique cradle that's been in her family for generations. For the heir, her note reads, may they be strong and wise, as all good rulers must be. Other gifts follow. Clothes, toys, books. Not from everyone, Lord Mordecai and his faction remain firmly opposed, but from enough families that it starts to feel like maybe, just maybe, we're winning. My 7th month arrives, and with it a formal council session where Caspian presents me to the assembled vampires as his acknowledged mate and mother of his heir. I'm terrified walking into that chamber, my belly huge now, Caspian's hand steady in mine. But I hold my head high. I meet their stares and their whispers with calm dignity. And when Caspian speaks, telling them that I am his choice, that our child will be the next heir to the Eastern Territories, that anyone who has a problem with that can take it up with him directly, I feel something shift. Not acceptance, not exactly, but acknowledgement. Recognition that I'm not going anywhere, that this is happening, whether they like it or not. And when Lord Mordecai stands to object, to call once more for my exile or execution, 3 other council members stand as well, standing with Caspian, showing their support. It's not a majority, not yet, but it's a start. Mordecai sees the writing on the wall. He bows stiffly to Caspian, shoots me a look of pure venom, and leaves the chamber. Half the council follows him, but half stays, and that's enough. You did beautifully, Seraphine tells me afterward, when I'm back at the safe house trying to calm my racing heart. The way you stood there, completely calm even though you had to be terrified, it impressed people. Showed them that you're not just some weak human who got knocked up by the king. You're a fighter. I was faking, I admit. The calm. Inside, I was screaming. Fake it well enough and no one can tell the difference. She smiles, and it's almost warm. That's half of politics right there. Pretending you're confident until everyone believes you actually are. You'll get the hang of it. The 8th month is harder. I'm huge, uncomfortable, exhausted all the time. The baby is active, constantly moving, kicking, making their presence known. Cordelia visits twice a week now, monitoring everything, adjusting my supplements, teaching me breathing techniques. Soon, she says during one visit, maybe 2 more weeks, maybe 3, but soon. Caspian barely leaves my side. He's still handling council business, still maintaining his role as king, but he does as much as possible from the safe house. And at night, he holds me while I sleep, one hand always resting on my belly, feeling our child move. "Have you thought about names?" Juniper asks one evening. She's been a constant presence too, healing well from her broken wrist, becoming something like Caspian's unofficial human advisor. They've developed an odd friendship, built on mutual protectiveness of me and a shared love of terrible action movies. A few, I admit. We're in the nursery, finally decorated now, with that antique cradle and soft blankets and more stuffed animals than any one child could ever need. But I want to wait, to meet them first. Them. Caspian appears in the doorway, smiling. Still refusing to find out the sex? I want it to be a surprise. He crosses to me, pressing a kiss to my temple. Everything about this child has been a surprise. What's one more? That night, I go into labor. It starts as a dull ache in my back, easy to ignore. But within an hour, the contractions are coming faster, harder, and Cordelia is there, taking charge with calm efficiency. "It's time," she announces. "Get her to the bedroom, get her comfortable. This is going to take a while." She's not wrong. Labor stretches on for hours, painful, exhausting, terrifying hours where I'm convinced I'm going to die, where I regret every decision that led to this moment. But Caspian never leaves. He holds my hand, lets me squeeze until I'm sure I'm breaking bones, though of course I'm not. Vampire durability is useful for something. He wipes the sweat from my forehead, tells me I'm doing great, that I'm strong, that he loves me. And when Cordelia finally says it's time to push, when the pain becomes so overwhelming I can't think straight, he's there, letting me grip his arm, feeding me his blood like Cordelia instructed to give me strength. "One more," Cordelia commands. "Come on, girl, one more push and you're done." I push with everything I have left. And then, a cry, high and angry and absolutely perfect. "It's a girl," Cordelia announces, and there's satisfaction in her voice. "A strong, healthy girl." She places the baby on my chest, tiny and perfect and screaming with impressive lung capacity. She has a shock of dark hair like Caspian's, and when her eyes flutter open for just a moment, they're the same deep red as her father's. "Hello, little one," I whisper, and she quiets at my voice, turning toward me instinctively. "We've been waiting for you." Caspian is crying, actual tears running down his face as he looks at our daughter. "She's perfect," he says hoarsely. "Thea, she's perfect." "She is," I agree, and then Cordelia is there, taking the baby to clean her up and check her over while another healer, a vampire Dr. Caspian brought in, attends to me. I'm exhausted, sore, still bleeding more than I'd like, but I'm alive. We're both alive. Cordelia returns with our daughter wrapped in a soft blanket, and this time when she places her in my arms, Caspian is right there beside me, one arm around my shoulders, the other hand gently touching the baby's tiny fist. "What should we name her?" he asks softly. I look down at this perfect little life we created, this bridge between human and vampire, this proof that love can overcome prejudice and fear and politics. "Arya," I say. It means lioness in one language, air or song in another. Strong and beautiful and free. "Arya Vale?" Caspian tests it out, and I can see him falling in love all over again, this time with his daughter. "It's perfect. She's perfect." The door opens quietly, and Seraphine slips in, followed by Juniper. They both stop when they see the baby, their expressions softening. "May we?" Seraphine asks, surprisingly tentative. I nod, and they come closer. Juniper is crying openly. Happy tears. Seraphine maintains her composure better, but I can see the emotion in her eyes. "She has your nose," Seraphine tells Caspian, "and your stubborn chin. Poor thing." "She's going to be a heartbreaker," Juniper adds. "Look at those eyelashes." We spend a few minutes like that, the 5 of us, plus tiny Arya, in a bubble of peace and joy. But I know it can't last forever. Know that tomorrow we'll have to face the council, make formal announcements, deal with the political fallout of this birth. But for tonight, none of that matters. Tonight, we're just a family. 3 days later, Caspian presents Arya to the council. I'm still recovering, too weak to attend in person, so I watch via video feed from the safe house. Caspian stands at the front of the chamber, our daughter in his arms. And I've never seen him look more proud or more dangerous. "This is Arya Vale," he announces, his voice ringing with authority. "My daughter, my heir, born healthy and strong to Dorothea Winters, my acknowledged mate. Anyone who has an objection is welcome to voice it now." The silence is deafening. Lord Mordecai looks like he's swallowed something bitter, but he doesn't stand, doesn't speak, just sits there, seething. And then Lady Morgrave stands. "I, for one, welcome the young heir," she says clearly. "May she grow strong and wise, a worthy successor to her father's throne." Other vampires begin to stand. Not all of them, but enough. Enough to show that opinion has shifted, that the birth of a healthy child has changed the equation. Caspian meets my eyes through the camera, and his smile is triumphant. We won. The celebration that follows is elaborate, a formal presentation where vampires from across the territory come to see Arya, to offer gifts and pledges of loyalty. I'm there this time, dressed in a gown that Seraphine helped me pick out, standing beside Caspian as we receive the well-wishers. It's exhausting and overwhelming and absolutely surreal. 6 months ago, I was a waitress running from what I thought was certain death. Now I'm standing in a vampire court as the acknowledged mate of the king, mother to the heir, receiving bows and congratulations from nobles who would have happily seen me dead a few months earlier. "You're doing great," Caspian murmurs during a brief lull. "Just a little longer." "Easy for you to say. You're not the one who gave birth 3 days ago." He laughs, pressing a kiss to my temple. "Fair point. Though I did offer to make this a private affair. And give Mordecai and his faction ammunition to claim we're ashamed of Arya? Not a chance." I straighten my spine, summon my best smile as another group of vampires approaches. We do this publicly, or not at all. By the end of the evening, I'm ready to collapse. But there's one more thing that needs to happen. One more statement to be made. Caspian leads me to the front of the assembly, Arya sleeping peacefully in his arms. When he speaks, his voice carries to every corner of the chamber. For those who still doubt, for those who still question whether a human can truly be mate to a vampire king, let me be absolutely clear. He looks directly at Mordecai as he speaks. Dorothea Winters is my chosen mate. Arya is my acknowledged heir. They are under my protection, now and always. Anyone who threatens them threatens me. Anyone who harms them will answer to me personally, and I promise you, there will be no mercy. The temperature in the room drops, frost forming on the windows. Every vampire present can feel the power rolling off Caspian, the absolute certainty of his threat. "Do I make myself clear?" he asks, and it's not really a question. One by one, the assembled vampires bow, even Mordecai, though it clearly costs him. "Crystal clear, Your Majesty," Lady Morgrave says, and there's approval in her voice. "May your family thrive, and may your reign be long and prosperous." It's over. The political battle, the threats, the uncertainty, all of it over. We won. That night, back at what Caspian has started calling home, rather than the safe house, I find him in Arya's nursery. He's standing over the cradle, watching our daughter sleep, and there's such tenderness on his face that my heart clenches. "She's going to be so loved," I say softly from the doorway. He turns, holding out a hand to me. I take it, letting him pull me close. Together we stand there, watching Arya dream whatever dreams newborns have. "I was so afraid," Caspian admits quietly. "When you were pregnant, when you went into labor. I've lived through countless battles, countless wars. But nothing scared me like the thought of losing you, of losing either of you. But you didn't." I lean into him, tired but happy. We made it, all 3 of us. All four of us. Juniper's voice comes from behind us. She's in the doorway, smiling. I'm part of this weird little family too, right? Always, I tell her. 5, actually, Seraphine adds, appearing behind Juniper. Someone needs to teach this child proper etiquette and how to terrify council members. Clearly that's going to be my job. Caspian laughs, and the sound is warm and genuine. I suppose we are rather a strange family. The best kind, I say. And looking around at them, at Caspian and Seraphine and Juniper, at baby Arya sleeping peacefully in her cradle, I know it's true. We're not a traditional family, not by vampire standards, not by human standards. We're something new, something that shouldn't work but somehow does. And we're going to be fine. Better than fine. We're going to be happy. Epilogue. 6 months later, I'm in the formal gardens of the Thornwood estate, which Caspian has officially claimed as our primary residence, much to his mother's dismay, watching Arya attempt to roll over on a blanket spread across the grass. She's getting close, her little face scrunched in concentration, tiny fists pushing against the ground. Come on, sweetheart, I encourage. You can do it. She rocks back and forth once, twice, and then manages to flip herself over, immediately looking surprised by her own success. The expression is so comically startled that I burst out laughing. Did she do it? Caspian appears, having finished his afternoon council session early. He drops down onto the blanket beside us, immediately scooping Arya up and making her giggle. There's my clever girl, learning to roll over already. Arya gurgles happily, reaching for his face with grabby hands. She's always been more attached to him than to me, which Juniper says is completely unfair, and Caspian claims is just proof of Arya's excellent taste. How was the council? I ask, though I can already guess from his relaxed posture that it went well. Productive. Mordecai has finally stopped attending, decided to focus on managing his own territory, rather than fighting a losing battle here. He settles Arya against his chest, and she immediately curls into him, ready for a nap despite having just woken from one an hour ago. Lady Morgrave has proposed a formal alliance between our territories and hers. I'm inclined to accept. Is that wise, given everything? It's necessary, and Morgrave has proven herself an ally. He looks at me, his expression serious, despite Arya drooling on his very expensive shirt. The world is changing, Thea. Humans and vampires are going to have to learn to coexist. And Arya, she's going to be at the center of that change, a symbol of what's possible. No pressure, baby girl, I say, reaching over to stroke her soft hair. She's growing so fast, changing every day. And yes, there are challenges, moments when her vampire nature shows through in ways that startle or concern me. But there's also so much joy, so much love. She'll be fine, Caspian says confidently. She has you as a mother. That alone is enough to prepare her for anything. Flatterer. Realist. He leans over to kiss me, careful not to jostle Arya. I love you. Both of you. More than I thought possible. We love you too, I say, and mean it with every fiber of my being. This isn't the life I expected. Not even close. But somehow, impossibly, it's the life I needed. The life that was waiting for me if I was just brave enough to reach for it. And as Arya sleeps between us and the sun sets over the gardens, painting everything in shades of gold and amber, I know that we're going to be okay. More than okay. We're going to be extraordinary.